when 1985 was a huge hit, and it was close to there when Phineas and Ferb came out. And 1985 was huge on Radio Disney. So that 18 to 25-year-old group know our band. And so we play a lot of colleges, and people just go nuts over that stuff. And so it's nice. We kind of had a little bit of resurgence.
Yeah. Grayson, you have a question for Jaret?
Yeah, Jaret, I was actually going to say, you're not going to like this, but I was in the generation where I actually first heard your song 1985 on, what was it, Kids Bop?
Yeah.
I didn't even get to hear the original from y'all until later.
Listen, man, I don't hate. I got a gold record on the wall from that. So it's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good. It all puts the kids through school.
Now, 1985 as a single just went platinum. Was that right?
Double platinum.
Double
and
platinum,
it's on its way to triple already.
That's
because
crazy.
it is streaming so crazily. It's just it's nuts. Like at any point during the day, there's 50,000 people streaming that song.
Dang.
Like that's how big the song is. It's just nuts. It's obviously our biggest one. And then the 4 or 5 after that are all kind of similar almost. And High School Never Ends, Punk Rock 101 and stuff. But 1985 definitely is the biggest one.
All right, so let's jump into some fantasy football stuff here real quick. All right, kind of an interesting week, not a huge injury week other than Christian McCaffrey comes back and then promptly gets hurt and he's out this week.
More than likely, his shoulder is banged up. Mm-hmm. And so there were people telling me last week that they had cut Mike Davis. Mm-hmm. And in fact, I think my son was one of them. Shame on him. But I said, you don't need to cut him because you don't know. Let's make sure McCaffrey is good. And then sure enough, he's probably going to miss another maybe 2 to 3 weeks. So,
yeah. Grayson, anything jump out at you from last week?
Yeah, I mean, obviously McCaffrey coming back and dominating was a huge storyline. He looked great. Dalvin Cook's 2-week run has been absolutely epic. That guy is winning people matchups, it seems, every single week right now. So those are the main things. I'm really excited looking forward, though. It looks like Nick Chubb may be coming back. Raheem Mostert may be coming back. So at least there's some running backs starting to get healthy again.
All right, Jaret, how are you doing in your 2 season-long leagues?
You know what? I am not doing great. I think in mine and Steve's league, I think I'm about even, and I do have a winning record in my other league.
I think you and I might be tied for last in our league.
Okay, but I think we're one game back or something. It's nothing. I mean, it's been one of those.
Well, yeah, in this league, so 6 people make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So if you're sucking, you get to the point where, okay, I just got to beat the guy in 6th place. Mm-hmm. And so there's like a game, and the last 2 years, the person that's been in that spot into the playoffs has ended up winning it. So all you got to do is sneak in and then get hot. So Jaret's right.
That's one of those things, though, man. I mean, like all of the times that I've won a league, it almost seems like everything just gels right at the right time. Like right towards the end of the season, everything just comes together. It's a lot of frustration getting to that point because, Chris McCaffrey was my number 1 pick in the Suburban Dad League that we do. And, that was it. All the eggs in one basket,
yep.
No good. My best pick overall was the one that I got made fun of for, which was Josh Allen. And that has paid off like gangbusters.
Yes.
I mean,
yep.
every week. I think he's had 1 week where he was off a smidge, but he made up for it. So I think he had 37 points last week. That's been my savior for sure.
Yeah, he's turned into this last year's Lamar Jackson. Last year Jackson was drafted late, and so this year it's been Josh Allen and to some extent Kyler Murray. Because Lamar actually isn't doing that great in terms of fantasy.
No, actually, today in the press conference, he said, look, opposing defenses are calling out their plays.
Yeah.
So, might want to watch that for the next couple weeks if you're a Lamar Jackson, if you have him rostered on your team. Jerry, you're right. Last year I was in a league and I had lost 1 game going into the playoffs. And I thought, well, all bow before me. Just get out of the way. Like, you guys might as well just send me the money right now. Like, just go ahead. And then I lost so embarrassingly in the first week of the playoffs. I thought about, like, could I get in the car and drive to each of these guys and tell them in their cities, like, how they disappointed me? So, sometimes it's just the ones that you don't expect.
Well, we have two really good players in our league, and Steve is one of them. And then we have a guy who I've known forever named Andy, and he is he's really good. I mean, I think if he's not as good as Steve, he's up there. And he is always up there in like the most wins, but he's only won the league one time, I think.
Yeah,
so but he's always in the top two. He's just crazy. But yeah, I mean, it's funny how that works out, when things just sort of gel and then they fall apart at the same time for other people.
I think one of Jaret's lessons to learn early on was he's a huge Steeler fan.
Yeah,
I'm glad you guys are still friends.
Well, I was going to say I love him like a brother, but there's two things that I could say are bad about him. One, he's a Steeler fan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And two, for beer, he's more quantity over quality.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. I know you guys have a beer sponsor, so I won't say what I drink, but I drink a normal American light beer, and I drink it because it's refreshing, and I can drink a bunch of them. And the other thing is, yes, I am a Steelers fan, but at least I own it, and I'm loyal. And when they're losing, I'm just as passionate as I am when they're winning. And I've been like that my whole life. And so,
my point on that was, I think early on, you got to learn to leave your allegiances to the side when you're drafting. And we in the league I've been in the longest. This is our 23rd year. We had guys early on that were diehard Cowboy fans. Well, in that decade of the 90s, like Aikman and Irvin, they were winning games, but in terms of fantasy, they really weren't big fantasy producers. But every time for the draft, we knew this one guy was going to take Aikman probably in the second or third round, and take Irvin way too early. And did this guy ever win the league? No.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man, I can't imagine in those days. I know this is completely off topic, but I can't imagine what Jay Novacek was doing as far as fantasy.
Yeah, I don't even know. Like, and plus, you didn't have the internet to do it with, really.
Well, we did.
Yeah.
We got in trouble. We all worked at the same place.
Okay.
At PMSI, which no longer exists. But one of the early sites, I guess it doesn't hurt to do a little fantasy football history, but one of the early sites was called Sandbox. Sandbox.com. It was free, and this was before Yahoo got into it, before ESPN got into it. So we were using Sandbox, and we got a league, and then really quick, like 3 or 4 weeks into the season, our IT department blocked it. So we had to come up with a rule that you couldn't pick up any waiver people until a certain time at night, so nobody had an advantage. But so we were. The only thing we had to do on paper early on before it got onto all these sites was like March Madness. But yeah, so Yahoo was eventually bought out, became a pay site, and we just migrated over to Yahoo and then eventually ESPN. Now there's tons of them, obviously.
Grayson, how do you like this history lesson of time before the internet?
Yeah, I'm loving it. I just I don't really want to go back to that time though. Kind of like where we're at.
You don't. I mean, if you can imagine this, taking a poop with nothing to do, it was the worst.
No Twitter?
It was the worst. So boring.
Well, I mean, you just go in and go out in a couple minutes. You wouldn't stay in there.
Well, I don't know. My dad found a way to do it. Me not so much.
Yeah. All right, Jared, before we go to break here, I do want to make sure, because we got to do our daily fantasy draft and our daily fantasy talk in the next segment, but you guys have some stuff coming up and coming out. It's not like you just went into the cave and stopped working during the pandemic.
No, we actually just did a full band live stream. We did 2 shows on Saturday. That was awesome. We had no intentions of recording this year, but it got to be around June, and shows were basically canceled for the year. So we went and made a new record. We have tons of stuff coming out, and I've got a new Christmas song coming out with my friend Kelly, who I have another band with. And so best thing to do is find me at JARET2113, and you find everything that's going on.
Real quick, what list your podcasts that you have?
Jaret Goes to the Movies is a weekly podcast about movies. It's been going 5 years, 290 something episodes. And Rockstar Dad is a completely different format. We basically talk to awesome dads. A lot of them are actual rock stars. Some of them are rock star dads, and some of them are dads that are rock stars. Man, we just had Rick Nielsen and his two sons, Rick Nielsen of Cheap Trick and his sons. So we got to talk to the sons about him being a grandpa and all of that. And we got Scott Ian coming up. We just had Gary Shirley from Teen Mom. I mean, our guests are nuts. So yeah, if basically, honestly, it's the cool thing about it is you would think called the Rockstar Dad Show. We talk about being dads, that you wouldn't find it to be that interesting if you weren't a father. It's actually just the opposite, because we ask these guys questions that they don't normally get asked about. It's like because they and they just want to talk about their kids, but nobody cares about that. They just want to know about the debauchery.
Well, yeah, I guess so. That's different. Well, I mean, that's when you can, as somebody who's done this 15 years interviewing, the best interviews I have sometimes are the ones where you don't talk about the most obvious thing in front of you, which is, for me, it's sports, but when you start getting into other stuff, it gets really good.
That's why the movie podcast is so good, because
it's great.
It's usually a 2-hour podcast, but we talk about the movie about 20 minutes of that. The rest of it is just insanity. But yeah, those are the two. And then, my other gig is I'm the voice of Chuck E. Cheese. So any of our fathers out there who for some reason can't stand the mouse, well, that's me.
Listen, you the voice of the mouse does a little bit of backup parenting for a lot of people at the time. Like, just go.
I agree, man. I'm the best babysitter in the world.
That's right. All right, we're gonna take a break right here. When we come back, Daily Fantasy. Jaret's gonna get us out. Grayson, do you have faith that Jaret can get us out of this hole that we've been in this Thursday night showdown?
I do. I'm believing in him, and hopefully he gets the MVP spot right, because that's where the money's made, right?
Yeah,
that is the hardest decision for me every single week. Every week.
Yeah, we've been bad. Oh, like we usually get we'll have 3 picks that are good, 1 pick that's fine, and then 2 picks where we just completely outthought ourselves. So that's where we've been. So we'll do that when we come back. Plus talk some daily fantasy starts and sits and good plays. This is the Fantasy Football Show on Sick'em 365 Radio, brought to you by Brotherwell Brewing and Richard Carr Buick Pontiac GMC. More when we come back.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to Sick'em 365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas, familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Welcome back into the Fantasy Football Show here on Sikkim 365 Radio. Brought to you by Brotherwell Brewing, Richard Carr, Buick, GMC Cadillac, Paul Catalina, Steve May, Grayson Grunhafer, and our special guest from Bowling for Soup, Jaret Reddick, joins us now. And Jaret is a daily fantasy player as well. And we do a showdown league. We'll do that in a second. Jaret's going to pull us out of our doldrums. We are this is week 9 now. We're 0 for 9.
Yeah.
Well,
we didn't. Did
we do it the first week?
Yeah. So
we're 0 for 8.
So in regards to daily fantasy, I will say that Jaret has, at least over the past couple of years, I think he's been on a pretty good run. He'll send me screenshots when he's hit it big, and he's had some pretty good nights. So are you enjoying daily fantasy better than season long at this point? Or
I like it way better.
Yeah.
I like it because I can start paying attention to it kind of Friday. I just kind of look at everything. Saturday, I sort of kind of know, okay, I'm going to do this many lineups. And the way that I play, I've told you before, I play a lot of cheap games. So I'll put my lineup in 15 contests that are between $3 and $5, no, $3 and $10.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm playing on the same $200 that I started with this season, and I've taken some pretty nice draws out. You saw my first week.
Yeah,
I mean, I've had a couple of those weeks. I only have one losing week so far. But yeah, I just kind of have my system and I stick to it. And when I stray, I lose, and it's so I try.
So how many lineups are you building for each day?
Usually what I do is I'll build a Sunday only. I'll build a Sunday, Monday. And then the Sunday only gets me into your contest that you do.
Yeah.
Sunday and Monday gets me into my friend Eric, who also has been doing your contest.
Yeah.
And then what I do, I spread those lineups out a little bit, and then I'll go and make myself another one that is either like Thursday through Monday or the whole week or, something like that. But usually 3 to 4 lineups.
See, and that's something I've stuck with Sunday only just because I want the instant gratification of the payoff. And so I probably need to look more at doing that longer stretch and including Monday or including Thursday into the Sunday.
Yeah, I'll do a Thursday through Monday occasionally, but it is like because you can have a great Thursday and then a great Sunday. And then like you're sitting there waiting on Monday for your guy. And then Grayson, I'm sure you've done this where you sit there and you're like, oh man, this is killing me here.
I hate the Monday games, guys, and season long and in just DraftKings or whatever I play. I just hate it. You just gotta wait and wait. It feels like an eternity, honestly.
It does. Yeah, it's funny because I actually personally don't like the Thursday game. I hate it. I mean, it's cool because we get football in the middle of the week. But just as far as like having to make sure that you don't have any players in, it's like I don't really like to think about it until it's, a day or two in advance where I can kind of start thinking about what I'm going to do. But yeah, I'm with you. That's the hard thing is if you have like an incredible Sunday and you're done, and then you have to go back through all of the other players and see how many minutes they have left. And if they have anything significant, you go through, and if it's their defense, you're like, okay, cool. And then, so then they've got Aaron Rodgers, and you're like, darn it.
All right, let's go through. Grayson, let's start with you. Some interesting daily plays for this week that you like.
Oh gosh. Yeah. There's a few good ones. I think typically and this has just kind of been my mindset this year for some reason. I've been going after the heavy hitters at the quarterback position. I feel like they've been paying off really, really well when you pay for them. So obviously Josh Allen has a matchup with the Cardinals. I think that's going to be a shootout between Buffalo and Arizona. So I think he's a great play this week. Even though he's very expensive, I think he's worth the price just because of the reason that I just stated. I just think it's worth it to pay for him. I really like at the running back position, just a kind of interesting one. I think if Darrell Henderson plays this week for the Rams. At $5,900, I think he's the RB1 there. I think he's a very interesting play because I do think points will have to be scored. I also think they'll rely on him to kind of dwindle the clock a little bit so that Russell Wilson's not out there. At the wide receiver position, I mean, there's plenty of guys that you could go with. There's a lot of good price guys. I've been on the Brandon Ayuk train for a while. He goes to New Orleans. New Orleans hasn't had a very good defense. They played amazing last week. We'll see if that's fluky or if it's an actual thing for them now. But I think Ayuk should play pretty well at the wide receiver spot. So those are three of my kind of top plays that I'm going to play in most of my leagues this week.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Buffalo-Arizona game. That actually has the highest point total projection for this week at 56.5. So Josh Allen's coming in at 7,500. Kyler Murray's at 8,000. But I'm kind of agreeing with Grayson. You know, I've gone cheap a little bit here recently on my quarterbacks, and so I do like either one of those. Another one I like again, Justin Herbert. They're throwing the ball around. The Chargers are playing Miami. It has a low projected score, but I don't know. I kind of like that matchup for him. Running backs, they've got Austin Eckler priced out here, and I'm not sure if he's going to play or not. They got him at 5,300. I think he's still a week away, but if he does play at that price, you got to go with that because they're obviously not liking Justin Jackson or Josh Kelly.
Yeah, but Jackson may not even play this week either. He's got a little injury. And then they went with Balaj last week, which just really screwed a lot of people up because I know a lot of people, myself included, went with Justin Jackson and he didn't do squat. I think he actually got hurt on the first or second play of the game, and I had him in a lot of lineups. So keep an eye on Eckler. And then we already mentioned Mike Davis. Because McCaffrey probably won't play again, so I like Mike Davis coming in. Receiver, some value. I like Jerry Jeudy with Denver. He seems to be getting into a rhythm with Drew Lock. His price is 5,600, which is great. I also like if the Buffalo Arizona game is going to be a shootout, you want to try to get a piece of that game somehow. So if you've built your lineup and you got not as much money left over, Cole Beasley's coming in at 4,700. The Bees
at 4,700. So that could be someone to sneak in.
I'll tell you guys a little something. I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, I'm done.
I put Cole Beasley in my lineup every single week. I do every single week on my daily fantasies. He's in there because he's cheap, and it's very common for him to get you 11 or 12 points. So I that's pretty much kind of almost where I start sometimes is go through and find myself. Where I'm going to have to go defense wise to not spend any money. And then I put Cole Beasley in there. And then I start back up at the top and start to fill back in.
There's the system. There's the system right there. By the way, fun fact about Cole Beasley, and I know this from, covering the Cowboys and being in the locker room a lot over the last 10 years, but he was the best rapper on the Cowboys when they had 7 wannabe rappers.
Yeah.
I think he put out an album, I think.
As far as football player rap albums go, it wasn't the worst.
Once he figured out what not to do on Twitter, he focused his attention on rap music.
On the rap game.
I like what Jaret said about defense, because sometimes that's kind of a toss away. But if you go cheap, but when you're looking at the cheap ones, if you put some thought into it, because 2 weeks ago, Miami, it looked like a horrible matchup. They were playing the Rams, and the Miami defense won me some money in DraftKings. I mean, they scored 23, 24 points, which is really unheard of for a defense. Yep.
Yeah. So again, go cheap. He starts Jaret's system, Cole Beasley, and a cheap defense that can make him money. That's good tips there.
Again, I'm with Steve on that. Usually my defense is a throwaway. I almost just kind of go with one that I just think isn't going to lose points.
Yeah. Yep.
And then I go with the cheapest one that I can get. And then tight end, I've kind of been sticking with the same guy. He's got a bye this week, but I've had great luck with Hurst from Atlanta. He's gotten more than projected pretty much every single week. That would be one of mine to advise people to pay attention to for the rest of the season. He's been great and totally worth the money and saves you a bunch of money that you can go spend in those other positions.
All right, let's get into this.
The showdown. So the game is the Colts and Titans.
The Colts and Titans. Okay. So some interesting plays here. The Colts don't really have a lot of guys on offense that you're gonna go out and grab.
Right.
But the Titans defense is less than good. And I'm putting that nicely. It's not good. So you might have some more value this week in some of the guys. And so since Jaret is our guest, and a celebrity, we can't just give him the middle pick. He's got to have the first pick and the most important one, which is great because I won in our league this week, Steve, and I don't want to make it. So
I hate it. I hate this freaking this MVP. What do you call it?
The captain. It's called the captain on the showdown.
Captain. Yeah. I hate it so much.
Well, they're more expensive because if you put them in that slot, they're costing you more.
Yeah.
But the points are 1.5 for the points. So.
Right. Okay. So this is the Indianapolis-Tennessee game, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know. Let's talk through this for a second.
So throw out some names, and Paul will tell you what their price is.
Well, I'm looking at it right now.
Okay, all
right. So obviously, I think Phillip Rivers is not a good, even though that defense is probably going to let him throw some. I wouldn't go that direction. Man, I think, God, it's a lot of money to spend on Henry, isn't it? But man, doesn't he just deliver every week? It kind of goes back to what Grayson was saying earlier. You pay for it and they deliver. What do you guys think?
He delivers, but I don't think he has delivered against the Colts.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah. That's good to know. I mean, AJ Brown is predicted to make some good points, but he seems expensive to me at $15,000.
Yeah, what I try to do actually, a couple weeks ago, Curtis Samuel was our captain pick.
Yeah,
and because he was lower, and then he had a great week, and so that's what we try to do is we try to find somebody who we think is going to have a good week, and then put them in, and that way we can get the big dogs later.
Right. Yeah. What do you guys think? I think Corey Davis is going to have a good game. But I don't know.
Who's priced higher, Henry or Tannehill?
Tannehill.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Tannehill only by $600.
I think Tennessee's going to move the ball mostly through the air. The Colts defense is very, very good on the ground, so Tannehill could be a good choice, Corey Davis. But I also think the Colts are going to have to throw a lot. So, maybe Phillip Rivers, but.
All right, Jaret, take a stand.
I like the Corey Davis pick, actually. I like that at $11,700. And, I think he's going to go in there and get his 15 to 20 points. I'd take double that for $6,000 less than Tannehill.
Yeah. All right. So that's what we're going to do. We'll lock in Corey Davis. All right. I'll make the next pick. I'm going to go even it's expensive at A.J. Brown, but I think A.J. Brown, I pick him and he's kind of one of my go-tos every week just because when he's playing, he's usually going to at least hit the predicted number. At least do that. So I'm going to go A.J. Brown, and that leaves us with 4 picks left in $27,000, $900.
Go ahead, Grayson.
Okay, I'm doing it this week, and I've been doing this all year long. I don't love it, but I'm a big Colts fan. I was born in Indiana, so I've been watching this team a lot, and one of the biggest frustrations this year has been T.Y. Hilton. Mm-hmm. And I think this is a get-right week. After he was injured, they rested him this past week. I think it just kind of proved they needed him. They were so just unexplosive against Baltimore. I think T.Y. Hilton has a little bit of a breakout week, and he saves us some money. So let's go with him.
All right, there you go. T.Y. Hilton.
All right, my turn?
Yes.
All right. We need one of the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So how much cheaper is Rivers than Tannehill?
Tannehill's 11.2. Rivers is 9.8.
That's a lot.
And we have $22,000 left amongst 3
Give me
people.
Rivers. Give me the old man.
All right. And for he'd be so happy he'll give you a child. Jared, you need to have him on your Rockstar Dads podcast.
I don't know that. I think I'd have to have like 3 episodes to get through all of his kids.
They're knocking them out every other 10 months.
I mean, like, I don't know what he's done more of, thrown for yards or impregnated his wife. So, all right, okay. I'm gonna give Jared. I'm gonna forego my pick.
Okay.
So, Jared, I'll give you another pick here since you're the guest.
So we got three spots. How much money?
Yeah.
No, we got 2 more spots left.
Yeah, we have 2 spots left. We got $12,300.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's not bad. I think, gosh, he's messed me up so many times. Maybe I'm not going to do that. I mean, I don't know. I think both of the tight ends that are on here aren't looking bad. I mean, but I hate to spend $7,000 on Smith.
You can pick a defense too, or a kicker.
Yeah, and do you guys do that? So I kind of shied away from that for the longest time. But I mean, I guess your kicker can make you some money.
Only when we're in a kind of a pickle of finances.
Yeah. Man, I hate to. I think we should take. I think we should take Trey Burton.
Okay.
All right. I like that.
There we go at $5,600. All right.
Man.
So that leaves us $6,700.
You picked the last one.
Okay. So it's kind of interesting. The Colts running back situation is kind of a mess.
Yeah.
You know, Taylor or Hines or Wilkins. It's just they're kind of riding the hot hand.
One of those guys is going to score 2 touchdowns.
Yes.
You just don't know who it's going to be. Yeah.
So we've got $6,700 to spend. So Zach Pascal, wide receiver, Indianapolis is the highest money guy there. I mean, that doesn't. I'll just say it's not blowing my skirt up.
Yeah.
So
it's been a while since that happened.
Yeah. So again, like, you know, we're Michael Pittman Jr., one of the kickers. This is not, or I have to, roll the dice on, say, Nyheim Hines.
Yeah, and that's where I was thinking earlier, where he's let me down and he's had a good week here or there, but I'm with Steve on that. You just kind of never know. I mean,
all right.
But out of the ones you just said, I would probably go with Hines.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Zach, I couldn't tell you anything about Zach Pascal other than his name and the team he plays for currently.
Yeah.
It just he's that nondescript to me. So I'm going to go with Nyheim Hines, and we'll lock this in. There we go. So Corey Davis, A.J. Brown, Trey Burton, T.Y. Hilton, Nyheim Hines, and Phillip Rivers. More Colts than I kind of thought when we did this at the beginning. But, really once if you're not going to get Derrick Henry and you pass on and you flip the coin between the 2 quarterbacks, this about makes sense. So
Yeah. I feel it. This is our week.
Yes, I know. And and if we win, we'll be mentioned on that new Bowling for Soup album as an inspiration. The inside
well,
cover.
I entered that thing in a contest too. So
Good
that
deal.
way we're all in this together.
All right.
Perfect.
Awesome. Well, Jaret, thank you so much for being with us. I know that you've got 100 things going on. I cannot wait until you guys can get out and tour again. I'm sure you guys are getting stir crazy as well.
We are, man. We again, like I said, we've managed to get together to do what we need to do to keep ourselves sane. I mean, 3 of us are married and 2 of us have kids and stuff like that. But our guitar player is kind of just locked in his apartment with his dog, and so we're very mindful of that. I'm doing tons of acoustic shows and stuff online for charity, and I've raised a bunch of money for Music Cares through all of this, and Punk Rock Saves Lives as well. Please, by the way, if I could plug another thing, please.
Absolutely.
Everybody go check out Punk Rock Saves Lives. Right now there's a special Bowling for Soup Tastes Like Chicken shirt, Punk Rock Saves Lives, because I basically I'm a I'm an ambassador for them for mental health. I suffer from depression and anxiety that can be fairly crippling to me. And so I like to get the word out about that, let people know that they're not alone, and that, even dudes that seem like they're happy all the time sometimes aren't. And I can't really describe, I wish I could say it tastes like chicken and tell you what it felt like, but I can't, So you've got the Bowling for Soup, Punk Rock Saves Lives, Tastes Like Chicken shirt, and all of that money goes to helping spread the word and helping people with mental illness and things like that.
And 2020 is a time we really need to think about that. I think that's one of the things that even if you don't have gotten COVID, the mental anguish that we've gone into this year. Is maybe people who, who've never even thought that was a thing. Like, there's a lot of people who, I'll be fine. Well, this is a year where we're probably all not fine in the long run. So,
and that's okay. It's all right. And the great thing about where we are is we can fight that stigma. And even your big truck driving dudes that listen to this show, it's all right to not feel okay, and to get some help, man. The planet is way better with all of us on it. And so I hope you guys will check out Punk Rock Saves Lives. I'm JARET2113 everywhere. And please have me back anytime. I had a great time, guys.
All right, Jared. Well, it's been a great honor to have you on the show. We'll absolutely have you on. It's been fun. And we'll get to one day we're just going to do this and we'll get some rock star stories from you.
We can do that. We can do that if you want. Let's pre-tape though, so you can bleep me.
Hey, we're on the internet. We're not over the air, so I don't have to worry about it.
I could have cursed the whole time.
I don't know if our owners would have loved it, but
we'll save that for the next one.
We'll save it for the next one.
All right.
Hey, Jaret, thanks, man. I love you.
Love you too, buddy. Thanks for everything, and you are my commish, buddy. You know that.
There we go. Thanks to Jaret Reddick for Bowling for Soup. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Stardom Sit-em. This is the Fantasy Football Show brought to you by Brotherwell Brewing and Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac here on Sikkim 365 Radio.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to Sikkim 365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Well, guys, that was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun. We need more celebrity guests, but I doubt they could be quite as enthusiastic as Jaret Reddick was from Bowling for Soup. And that was fun. Armstrong.
That's one thing I was going to ask him. I didn't get around to. Any other people in his world that also play?
Yeah.
Because he's connected to so many bands, and I mean,
you know what I always like to ask musicians is. Like who's like the random musician that's not in your genre that you are now friends with? Because it happens across like different things. Like, John Cena and Sacha Baron Cohen are really good friends.
Yeah.
So now John Cena's a comedic actor,
well, like,
again, but like
like Weird Al is friends with
Lin-Manuel Miranda,
Yeah.
and like people like that, but Weird Al, like there might be like a senator that's like, oh man, Weird Al Yankovic and I are good friends. Armstrong, just real quick before we dive into it, was that a little surreal for you?
His voice, yeah. I mean, he's got a great voice, very unique voice. It was interesting, but he's a really cool guy.
Yeah,
that was cool.
Yeah.
And like he said, if they're your first live show, they've ruined all future live shows. Well, he was our first guest, and he's ruined all future guests.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So Grayson, is there a celebrity guest you'd like us to try to get on from a band?
Oh man, you're okay. Of a band.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I was always growing up, I was a huge fan of Maroon 5. So Adam Levine would be pretty awesome.
Jaret knows Adam Levine.
Guess what? I'll just tell you that's not going to happen. For two reasons. One, I've spent my life fighting against Maroon 5. Here's the thing. I'm almost positive Adam Levine's probably a nice guy.
He is.
Like, I'm sure he is.
Yeah.
I just can't stand his music.
If you listen to their first album,
it's very different. Yeah.
Very different.
Yeah.
And I think it was during those early days that I may be missing this, but I'm fairly certain that Bowling for Soup and Maroon 5 were on some bills together.
Oh yeah.
Shows. And so I'm pretty sure Jaret has said that Adam's a pretty good guy.
I mean, he seems like a good guy.
Yeah.
Like, he seems like it. I'll tell you, I'm in the wrong for not. Like, I get it. I'm in the minority of people who don't like Maroon 5. But, again, it's just my personal taste. I only have, 4 bands that I preach against. One of them you and I share.
Rascal Flatts.
Yes, you and I share. Rascal Flatts. This is a band that we need to. And, look, they're retiring.
Thank God.
They're not going to tour anymore, but I don't trust that crap.
Oh, no. They'll find, well.
Somebody's going to come and throw money at them, or they'll need money.
They're going to split up and multiply and form multiple awful bands. So that's my fear.
That's gonna be like if there were more Gotham cities for Batman to fight.
Yes.
Like, it's not fair.
Yeah.
All right, I've got I printed out this week, so I didn't have to look on the computer. But I've got Stacy's questions. I told him he was far less important than our celebrity guest this week, but
we need to modify Stacy's mom into Stacy's questions with just a quick little blurb.
By the way,
music.
we were living together when that song by Fountains of Wayne came out, which Bowling for Soup will do as kind of a joke or a tribute. But Stacy's questions. When I was living with Stacy when that song came out, and the joke got lost on him really fast. I'll tell you. Really fast. Yeah. If I remember correctly, especially when his mother would come to visit.
Oh, I don't want to know about his mom.
It just makes it weird.
Yes. Yeah.
It just makes it weird. So we'll do Stacy's questions to wrap it up. But guys, let's go. Grayson, let's start with you. Start 'em, sit 'em for this week.
Okay, so at quarterback, a couple starts I like. I'm kind of a fan if Ben Roethlisberger plays this week, which I know is up in the air right now because he's in contact tracing right now. He plays Cincinnati. I like that matchup. I think he'll have a really nice week. I like Carson Wentz this week against the Giants. I don't think that's a very scary defense, so I would definitely look to play him as well. On the lower kind of side of things, if you're just streaming a quarterback, I think Derek Carr is a pretty good stream against Denver. As far as guys I don't like, do not like Joe Burrow this week at Pittsburgh. I don't like Cam Newton this week versus Baltimore. I think you're setting yourself up for failure playing those two guys. I just think it's really tough matchups. At running back, kind of an interesting week with some of the injuries that are going on. So David Johnson is kind of up in the air with a concussion. And if he doesn't play, then Duke Johnson is a pretty interesting play, especially in PPR formats. And he's definitely lower on people's radars, might even be on the waiver wire if you want to go pick him up.
I actually I picked him up in the league just the other day, just because it was that easy to do. Now, part of it is because I might need a running back. I don't plan on starting him if I don't have to, but in this league, I have Nick Chubb, who is probably going to play this week. But on the off chance that they get to Sunday and they're like, nah, not this week, next week. But they plan. I mean, they set it this way in motion, so you come back after the bye. But if not, then I don't have to play Duke Johnson in that spot. Duke Johnson is not going to get you in that offense a lot of running. They're not getting a lot of rushing yards.
No.
But he will get you, again, like you said, Grayson, that's a great point on the PPR play. So go ahead.
Yeah. Also, I heard Antonio Gibson missed practice today. They're taking on Detroit. If he's not going to play, then I would absolutely, again, play J.D. McKissick for sure in PPR leagues. He'd be a smash play this week. We saw what Dalvin Cook just did to Detroit, so no reason to think that they're going to have much success this week. So those are a few guys I like at the running back position. I also mentioned Darrell Henderson. Guys to kind of maybe tamper expectations on. I don't really like the Baltimore backfield this week. And the reason is because I think it's about to get more crowded as Mark Ingram comes back. They take on New England on the road. I think you're going to see a lot more passing success for that offense, and probably, again, a timeshare at the running back position. At wide receiver, some of the guys that are a little bit lower on people's radars that I like, Deontay Johnson, once again. I mean, I don't know how many times I should say his name, but he continues to play really well, and he's getting majority of the targets. So I would play him against Cincinnati. I like the matchup there if Big Ben is playing. Also, Steve brought up a good point earlier about getting a piece of the Arizona offense. A guy that's kind of lower on people's radars is Christian Kirk. I actually really like him this week against Buffalo, so I would look at potentially playing him, and also kind of in that same line of thinking, Mike Williams. So last week, I don't know if y'all realize this, DeAndre Hopkins had probably his first bust week of the year last week against Miami, being shadow covered by Xavier Howard, a former Baylor Bear. I think Xavier's probably going to shadow Keenan Allen this week, which means I think Mike Williams is definitely in play for the big play, just like Christian Kirk. So those are two guys I love at the wide receiver position this week.
All right, Steve.
Yep. So at quarterback, I like Tom Brady. He stunk last week.
Yeah, there's no reason to think he would do it again.
He's not going to do it 2 weeks in a row. That's just not – I mean, I'd be really shocked. So they're playing Carolina, and I think the Buccaneers are going to win that one easily, and I expect Brady to come out and probably throw for at least 3 or 4 touchdowns in that game. I already mentioned Justin Herbert playing Miami. I know the Miami defense is good, but they're throwing it a lot. Their running back situation is kind of iffy with the Chargers, so I think that's going to lend itself even more to him throwing the ball around. I do not like where's my list here? I don't like Cam Newton. Maybe that's an easy one of one to pick.
But I mean, Cam Newton is somebody you should play if you're on a bye week.
Yeah.
That's where he is right now.
There was a stretch there, maybe that week 2, 3, and 4 of their season when they got to play all those games, where he was doing well. Because
post-COVID for him has not been good.
No. Now, he showed some signs of life this last week, and I think he has a receiver now that he can trust. But I don't like him this week against Baltimore.
Okay, quick Cam Newton question for everyone here. Is there a situation in which you would wear a bonnet?
No.
I can't think of one.
Never.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah.
Yep.
It's an interesting fashion choice that only he seems to make.
Kirk Cousins, again, the Chicago Bear defense is really tough on receivers. So a quarterback against the Bears and any receivers against the Bears, I try to shy away from that. So Kirk Cousins, which
he's a bye week play anyway.
He is. Yeah. I'll talk about receivers here in a second. For running backs, usual suspects, you want to stick with them. You want to keep an eye out on Arizona to see who's going to play there. Kenyon Drake may come back sooner than what we thought. If he does, I think that puts them, Drake and Edmonds, into the roles that they're most naturally suited for. So I think Drake will get his 17 to 20 carries and probably do well. And then I think that puts Edmonds back in his regular third down back. And if it's a shootout, you could see some PPR points.
Especially at the flex for him. Yeah.
So I like either one of those, honestly, if Drake plays. Now, if Drake doesn't play and Edmonds is having to be that every down back, he showed last week that he's maybe not cut out for that. So I might shy away from that situation there. The Seattle situation is one you need to look out for. I think Chris Carson's going to be back. this week. I do like him against the Rams defense. The Rams are just kind of in a flux right now. It seems like on both sides of the ball. So keep an eye out there. And then Grayson already mentioned McKissick. If Gibson doesn't play, I really like McKissick. And I agree with him again. The Baltimore situation, J.K. Dobbins should be the main running back there. And I think
he's not.
But he's not. I think he will be. It may not happen this year. I thought it would. Next year, Mark Ingram will not be there. So I do think, so if you're in a keeper in a dynasty league, if Dobbins is available, it might be a good time to grab him and just kind of stash him so you have him for next year. David Montgomery, the Chicago running back situation is a mess. There's a chance he may not play. If he doesn't, then they may have to put Cordell Patterson back there at running back. And in ESPN fantasy leagues, Patterson has the running back and receiver designation. So you can play him in either spot. So that might be something kind of tricky there to look at. And then real quick for receivers.
Like you could play Taysom Hill at tight end. So
if
he ever winds up starting at quarterback,
you're set. Yeah.
You just throw him in at tight end and destroy someone.
The Viking receiver situation, I have a league where I actually have Thielen and Jefferson. And there's been a couple weeks where that's really paid off for me. It has not been paying off for me here recently. And this is a week where if you can avoid it, I wouldn't play any of them. Because, again, the Bears do not give up touchdowns to receivers. I also like A.J. Brown. We've already talked about him some. I would avoid I don't like Tyler Boyd this week, Cincinnati against Pittsburgh. And I do not like Mike Evans against Carolina. I think this could be, if Brady goes off, which I think he will, Godwin is probably going to be back. And I think we could also see Antonio Brown get in the end zone this week.
All right. Let's go to Stacy's questions here. It's good stuff from both of you. The Browns have a cupcake schedule for their second half. 5 of the remaining 8 games see them play the Texans, Eagles, Jets, Giants, and Jags, Giants, and Jets. That's a combined 8, 33, and 1. Who on the Browns is going to capitalize most? Could their defense be worth a pickup?
I'm someone that streams defenses, which means I'm rotating that out pretty much every week. And I do have Pittsburgh on one of my season-long teams, so I've kind of ridden them all year. But if I don't have them, then I'm looking at matchups. So I definitely agree with that. The Browns have talent on the defensive side of the ball. So if you need a fill-in each week, the Browns might be an attractive spot there.
All right, so Grayson, also along these same lines, and you feel free to answer the question. Nick Chubb, I've got to put him back in my lineup no matter what. But do you think his role will be as the featured back, or do you think he and Kareem Hunt will kind of timeshare it?
Guys, I did everything I could this week to try to pick up Nick Chubb. And the reasoning is because the matchups are so good for running back. He only has 2 matchups on the schedule that are considered bad, which would be Philadelphia and Baltimore. The rest of his matchups aren't just good. I mean, we're talking top 5 in the league type good when you're talking Houston, Jacksonville, Tennessee. But the key is his championship Final Four schedule is the Giants and the Jets. I mean, does it get any better than that? I do believe that Kareem Hunt will take some carries for sure. I think they're going to ease Nick Chubb back to a certain extent, but you're still talking about those two combining for 30-plus touches every game. I mean, Nick Chubb is a smash play. I think Kareem Hunt's a smash play, and those are the two that I'm most attracted to. I would also say Austin Hooper coming back. I think he might be an option at the tight end position. I'm not in love with the Browns defense because I do think they could be in games where they're up and they give up some garbage time points. So it's more so about the matchup, and it's kind of like Steve said. To me, the Browns are a streaming defense. They're not a weekly defense. So you can kind of pick them up and drop them as you please.
All right. By the way, the league that Stacey and I are in, so in the last 2 weeks, I'll have gotten back Michael Thomas, my first pick, and Nick Chubb, my second pick.
Oh, there you go.
And I'm 4-5 right now in that league. So I've kept my head above water, so to speak. I mean, I guess, or slightly below. My nose is above the water. But 4-5 is fine. Like, I'm in playoff contention. And
that raises a good point, and Grayson kind of alluded to it. If you feel really confident right now that you're going to make the playoffs in your league, it doesn't hurt to kind of look ahead. And so in the leagues I play in, week 16 would be the championship week.
Yeah.
So in a couple leagues, I'm in pretty good shape. I'm probably going to make the playoffs. So if I have spot on my roster, I'm looking to see in week 16 who's going to be playing maybe the Jets. You know, I might go ahead and grab that defense and just kind of stash them for that. Or, honestly, who's going to be playing the Cowboys? You know, so you're looking for the teams at the bottom of the barrel.
The Giants.
Yeah.
In week 16.
Okay. And
week 16 would be the Eagles. Yeah.
So it doesn't hurt to go ahead and plan ahead. Hey, I'm feeling good. I want to make sure I have a good, solid match. If your defense you have on your roster right now doesn't have a good matchup that week, go ahead and grab whoever that matchup is and stash them, and then you're good to go.
All right. Okay. So he actually brought up the Dobbins or Edwards question, but you kind of answered that, Steve. The Baltimore running back situation is just kind of spotty, but their schedule: Patriots, Cowboys, Jags, Giants, up on the horizon.
If they had a number one, that number one would be sitting pretty. They love Gus Edwards. They like giving him and he's actually kind of been the goal line guy. So it's really kind of a mess. It's been frustrating. That situation, the Ram situation at running back, and now the Colts situation. Those are three that you probably drafted somebody there, taking a gamble, and it hasn't paid off like you thought it would.
All right, and we'll start this last question for you, Grayson. Pick up Boston Scott as an insurance policy. I have him on my roster anyway, just because Miles Sanders, has been out the last couple of weeks. But yeah, I like that one. Don't you pick it up, Boston Scott?
Yeah, I mean, if there's no better options on the waiver wire, then I guess he's a good handcuff. I think that there are some better ones, though. I mean, if you could get Tony Pollard or J.D. McKissick or, guys that are maybe more into that role, I just don't know that Boston Scott has any value if Miles Sanders is playing. Like, you're literally hoping, well, not hoping for an injury, but you know what I mean. You're hoping for him to not be out on the field so Scott gets on the field, because I think when Sanders is healthy, he's the unquestioned guy.
Yeah. Or they could have Boston Scott playing against the worst run defense that's ever been known to man in the Cowboys. And for some reason, let Carson Wentz keep throwing the ball.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Even when the opportunity was there, they didn't use him like that. In one of the leagues I'm in, someone needed to make a roster move, and they cut Latavius Murray. If somebody like Latavius Murray is in your league, if you have Kamara, you definitely need him. And even if you don't, I would still grab him, just because he's someone you could actually play in a flex spot, and chances are he's going to get you some points. But if there's an injury there and he slides into that one spot just before the playoffs, you're in great shape.
Well, Latavius Murray is a guy, if you watch the Saints, for the backup running back, you'll hear his name a lot more.
Yeah.
Because that's what Sean Payton does.
Yeah.
Like the fact that Taysom Hill is even a thing is only by the grace of Sean Payton.
Yeah.
And because he's figured out how to use him. And last week would have been that week if you had, I had him stashed early in the year, because I heard, everybody was like, oh, the Taysom Hill. And he, I watched him on the bench and he'd get, 4 points, nothing like, he'd get a couple catches. But last week, I mean, he was huge for them.
Yeah.
And so.
And I like Grayson's idea of Tony Pollard, too. We don't know what's going to happen there. I think they're opening up the playbook a little bit more, which would open up for Pollard.
And Zeke's got a little hamstring injury.
Yeah.
They're on bye this week, so they'll still probably give up 200 rushing yards on bye. Yeah. So we'll see. All right, guys, good stuff this week. Thank you, of course, to our sponsors, Richard Carr, Buick, Buick, GMC Cadillac. They used to sell Pontiacs.
You say that every week.
Every week.
We've established that they used to sell Pontiacs, and the Pontiacs were a damn fine car.
They were a good machine, a good American-made machine, much like a Buick or a GMC or a Cadillac.
There you go.
Also American-made. Thanks, of course, to Brotherwell Brewing. By the way, they've got trivia tomorrow night. The guys from the Waco History Podcast are going to host it. Po' Boy Place will be out there, so please check out Brotherwell Brewing. Thanks to Grayson. Thanks to Steve. And, of course, thanks to Bowling for Soups, Jaret Reddick. Please check out Punk Rock Saves Lives. Do that. Everything that he's involved in, it was great to have him, and I can't wait to have him again on the podcast. Grayson, Steve, thanks to Armstrong Sims for producing. This is the Fantasy Football Show on Sikkim 365 Radio.